There is one thing that every 3D artist must know how to do to be successful, and it's not really a secret. It's actually very obvious, but how you do that thing is a lot more difficult. I'm talking about revolving a shape in 3D. This is the act of translating something from 2D to 3D. Right? Pretty obvious, like I said, but much easier said than done. The ability to revolve a shape from a single reference is not an easy one, and in this video we are going to look at exactly that. On a recent job I was contracted for, the 2D artist that created the original concept apologized to me because he only provided me with a single image to work from. He went on to explain that normally he would create more views to better flesh out the character, but because of a hand injury he sustained, he wouldn't be able to do so. You would be surprised by how often I only get a single image to work from for reference, and really it's not that big of a deal because I'm confident in my ability to revolve a shape. Not just in my head, but also on the screen. So what does that mean, revolve a shape? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. Can you look at a 2D image and imagine what that looks like from all its other angles? Revolve it in your head, that's it. But how do we do that? Well, there are many ways, but let's look at one tried and true method that I find very helpful. And that is what we call a draw over. This is essentially the act of drawing over top of your image to help figure out some more information. And there are two things that we are going to look for in particular to help us revolve a shape. But first, let's focus in here on the character's head. And to make it a little easier to focus, let's hide everything else. There are a lot of complex shapes going on when we look at this character as a whole, but like I said, there are two things in particular that we can do to start breaking this down a little more. The first is to focus on primitive shapes. A primitive shape is the most simple form we can break something down into. Like for instance, a can of soda is essentially a cylinder. Of course, there are some more secondary shapes and details, but this is the most basic shape visible. So what shapes can we break down our Tanuki friend into? Well, let's start up here with his hat. It looks pretty boxy to me, so I think that is exactly what I will outline over top of the image. Sure, there are some folds and other shapes going on, but let's ignore all of that for now. It's important that we find the most simple form. So here we have a very boxy shape, and the top of it tapers in a little bit as well. Now I don't know about you, but this is much easier to look at than this. It helps to simplify the shape and make it easier to understand. And we all know what a box looks like, so we can revolve that shape in our head pretty easily. Hopefully you can see already how much easier this is to interpret. Alright, let's continue down into the face. Now this is where things get a little more interesting, because the shape doesn't appear to be quite as boxy as before. It looks a little more round to me. The reason I can tell this is because of our second main thing that we want to pay attention to, and that is to look for clues. Not quite Scooby-Doo level of mystery, although some shapes can sometimes feel that way. What we are looking for is indicators that give us more information. Here's a good one on the face, the shadow right here. Let's compare that to the one that's found on the hat, where this shadow is a much sharper transition, like what we might expect from a box. Down here, it is a gradual change that lets our brain know that this shape is a little more round. So shadows are a big indicator of form. The head is not quite a sphere though, because it still has to fit within that boxy hat shape. So it looks like it probably starts off a little more boxy towards the top, and then starts to fade into a more rounded shape towards the bottom. There are other clues we can look for like highlights, how other shapes connect to one another like the head into the hat, and many more. But if you take the time to study what you're going to create, you won't have nearly as many issues once you start getting into 3D. So take the time to practice doing draw overs before you get into 3D, and I promise your work will improve. The ability to revolve a shape is not an easy one. It's definitely something that comes with practice. If you like this video and want to learn more about creating appealing characters, check out my course, The Appeal Academy. It's not only a course, but also a mentorship, designed to go at your pace and provide feedback on your progress every step of the way. If you're looking for more introductory work, I have a ton of other courses and content available on my Gumroad at the link below. Again, I hope this short video was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.